think I sprayed the little spot in the main lawn a little heavy. I might have a dead rectangle in the lawn for like a month and a half. Who knows? I'm going to be doing an experiment today. I'm going to be putting down some sulfuron on the lawn back here. I'm going to be getting that from the product labeled Certainty. I'm sure there's probably some generics out there. I don't know what they are off the top of my head, but Certainty is the product that I'm going to be using to kill off Poa annua. Now, over here on the parkway strip, which is mostly brown, that parkway strip is full of fairly young and fully dormant buffalograss. So if the buffalograss was thriving in the middle of the growing season, then it would be green and it wouldn't look brown. But in there are tufts of Poa annua. Typically, you're going to be putting down a pre-emergent in the fall to stop Poa annua from germinating and infesting your lawn space area. I couldn't do that because I was putting seed down on that area in the fall. Now, I also have a little bit of lingering Poa annua in the main lawn, stuff that I killed off last year. I didn't think I needed to put a pre-emergent down because I thought I got it all, but I didn't. There is still a little bit in there. So here's the experiment. I know for a fact that I can put Certainty on that dormant buffalograss. I could put Certainty down on growing, thriving, middle of the growing season buffalograss, and it would be fine. But I also know that the label of Certainty, sulfuron, is going to kill perennial ryegrass. I don't have perennial ryegrass here. This is a winter rye. I overseeded my dormant Bermuda grass with an annual ryegrass. I don't know, from all of the research that I have done, I don't know for sure if sulfuron is going to kill the annual ryegrass. Because this annual ryegrass, otherwise known as a winter rye, because it's not going to live forever, I'm going to kill it off no matter what, or I'm going to let it die on its own. I think that this is a reasonable time to put in an experiment. I'm going to spray a patch of this with the product and see if it dies, see if the annual ryegrass dies along with the Poa annua. Now, it's January 11th while I'm doing this. I'm in Southern California, so winter down here isn't really all that wintry, although I am in a long sleeve shirt. We're getting into the 60s every single day and the low 40s at night. Based on those temperatures, the Poa annua will die, but it will take a little bit longer than if I waited till like March or April when things were properly warm. I'm okay with waiting because this time of year, there's not a whole lot to do in the lawn in the first place. I'm kind of preparing my lawn space for spring. Here on my parkway strip, I've got a bare spot here. I'm going to have to see if I need to put some seed down. But everything that's green here, you see all these little flower heads on them? All of this stuff, this is all Poa annua. This is an annual bluegrass. If you compare that seed head to the seed head of, say, for instance, Kentucky bluegrass, you're going to be fairly similar. This, however, comes up in these little bunches. And in all honesty, you can just kind of pull them out of the ground because they're very shallow rooted. Problem is when you have a whole bunch of it, or when you have it mixed in with desirable grass, it's hard to find the little bunches. It's really hard to find all of it to hand pluck. But if you do have a little bit, you can really just kind of dig it out with your hands or some sort of like manual weeder. I literally don't want to do that over here because I don't want to damage stuff like this. So this doesn't look impressive, but all of this is buffalograss and it's young and it's mostly dormant. I don't want to damage the root systems of all of this, and nor do I want to take the time to hand pluck out all of the annual bluegrass. Especially as we go over here, it gets pretty dense. If you didn't want to use chemicals at all, then, that's just what you do. You just pull it out. I mean, look at all that. So I'm going to spray it. Let me show you in the main lawn. So again, all of this is annual ryegrass. Looks beautiful for the time of year, January 11. Compare it to my neighbor's lawn over there. Here in Southern California, you're going to find a lot of kikuyu lawns, like my neighbor across the street. It's still green, but it's a pretty light color of green. You're also going to find a lot of fescue lawns, like my neighbor over here. Fescue lawns this time of year really look amazing, especially if they have sun, like these guys. Nice deep green. It just looks fantastic. Later in the year, by the time June, July, August rolls around, this lawn is pretty dry and brown looking because this neighbor of mine doesn't provide enough water to keep it green, which is perfectly fine. It just goes into dormancy during the summer and it thrives during the winter. You're also going to find other neighbors, like these guys right across the street. He's got Bermuda grass. Now his Bermuda grass is staying kind of green this time of year because he's on the south face. So the sun is coming in all day long. It gets enough sun that the grass doesn't go fully dormant, compared to my lawn, which is heavily shaded most of the day. This is actually the time of the day when it gets the most sun. So it doesn't look fully shaded, but trust me, it only gets a couple hours of sunlight every day right now, this time of year. So all of the Bermuda grass in this lawn actually goes dormant. So we get up here, this is a good patch because I don't have a lot of annual rye planted here. All of this is actually Bermuda grass. It just looks dead, but it's not. This is just dormant Bermuda grass. A couple months, once it starts getting warmer and there's more sunlight out here, all of this is going to green up and it's going to be a dense lawn. Right here in the middle, see this? See all these little flower heads coming up? This is a large patch of annual bluegrass, or unwanted Poa annua. I'm going to go ahead and spray this spot with the Certainty product, and I'm positive that the Poa annua is going to die, but what I'm not sure is if I'm going to kill everything here. Bermuda grass obviously is going to stay dormant and it's going to come back in the spring just like it would otherwise, but the annual ryegrass is what I'm curious about, because if the annual ryegrass stays alive, then that means that I know for a fact that I can go ahead and use Certainty on the entire lawn at any point if I feel like it needs it. To kill Poa annua with Certainty or sulfurfuran, you want to use the higher rate, which means we're using the bigger scoop that comes on this. If you read the label, it tells you how to mix for 1,000 square feet. My parkway strip is only it's like 250 square feet. So I'm going to cut all of the things in half from the instructions to only do 500 square feet. So I'm only doing a little over a gallon of water instead of 2.5 gallons. And that way I'll spray the parkway strip. I'll spray my little patch here in the main lawn. And then in the backyard, I've never really done much of anything back there since we moved into the house. I do have Poa annua back there. So I'm just going to spray the rest of it out back there where I see the Poa annua. I'm not going to probably cover the whole backyard, just the worst areas. Here in the tank, like I said, I got a little bit more than a gallon of water. There's some residue from Root RX that I applied on the lawn. Still in here, I never washed it out. It's just Root RX from the Lawn Bright company. It's really stuff to build up the soil and build up the health of the root systems of the grass. So it's a good thing. That's it, man. Doesn't take much. Come in these little pellet looking things. They're not really pellets. It's like a little cylinder. And then it just dissolves right into the water. It's a cool little product. I should say it's supposed to be good to use on basically every warm season grass. I mean, buffalo, kikuyu, centipede, St. Augustine, zoysia, all of them. On the label, it does say it goes after sedges, sedges and kalinga, and some broadleafs. Sedges, there are better products to kill sedges, but if you have sedges in your lawn, then you're going to be damaging the sedges along with killing off the target, the Poa annua. I don't even know which broadleafs it kills, but if you have any broadleafs, it's going to kill probably some of them. I think I sprayed the little spot in the main lawn a little heavy. I knew I was doing it while I did it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I might have a dead rectangle in the lawn for like a month and a half. Who knows? All right, in case anyone is wondering, I didn't actually cut the spot in the lawn over there. before I sprayed it. I cut everything else except for the little rectangle that I sprayed. When you're putting sulfosulfuron down, you don't want to cut the lawn for at least 2 days prior to application and at least 2 days after application. So that lawn space right there, that little rectangle, hasn't been cut in 7 days. And I probably won't cut it again for at least another week. In weather and temperatures like this, mid 60s and mid 40s, so mid 60s by day, mid 40s by night, I would suspect that this is going to take upwards of 3 weeks to really see the results. So today is January 11th, so that'll put us somewhere around February 1st. That's when I'll give the update. I'm not going to film anything in between, or at least regarding this project. All right, here we are 20 days later. It is January 31st. I was going to film on the 1st of February. We got a big rainstorm coming tomorrow. So I'm going to do it now. You can plain as day see the rectangle right there. That's where I sprayed right in the middle of my main lawn with sulfosulfuron coming from the Certainty product. I don't think that I'm going to do this again on annual rye. There's nothing wrong with doing it whatsoever on dormant warm season grasses during the winter. Most of those warm season grasses that are going to be dormant, you're going to see the POA in the middle of the lawn way worse. But as you can tell, as you look at the lawn, you can't see the POA annua. I mean, you have to get really close to see it because it mixes in with this annual ryegrass very, very closely. When you get up really close to the annual rye, you can find, see, there you go. There's some POA right there. But that does not stick out at all. If, however, you had dormant grass, you see what's going on here? Every little green tuft is POA annua. This is what looks sloppy. You'd also tell, remember how vibrant this POA looked 20 days ago? This is slowly dying. I'm not 100% certain it's going to fully die, however, but it's definitely not growing. And that's exactly what the sulfosulfuron does to it. So it still might die yet, but it's definitely not getting worse. Over here in the test plot of annual rye, it actually looks even more thick compared to what it did almost 3 weeks ago. And you can see little bits of stuff that have like died. I literally think that that is annual ryegrass that's dead, and the POA is actually doing better. So this soil right here probably was just a little bit too cold, whereas over here the soil was warmer because we get more sun over there. So the soil never cools off as much than it does here in the shade. So although I thought the temperatures were going to be on the low end of acceptable, I probably won't apply in the soil temperatures that I had ever again. Soil temperatures back on January 11th were 52 degrees, but they were probably closer to 57 degrees over there and probably closer to 50 over here because everything over here is in the shade. At this point, I would probably say about 57 degrees is the low end of soil temperatures that I would put down sulfosulfuron on actively growing POA annua. That's just a best guess, however. I'll have to test it again next year. For those of you looking to have a better lawn this spring, I do experiments like this all the time so that I understand how things work and, I don't know, how to do things better in the lawn. I share as much of that as I possibly can with you guys in videos on this channel. I got hundreds and hundreds of videos on this channel. Feel free to subscribe for new videos as they come out, but make sure to watch this video next. This is all about the first things that you're going to be doing to your lawn before spring ever gets here.